Mufasa was pretty good. I think it was great. I might even go far as to say it was awesome. When I first saw the trailers, I wasn't super psyched for it. It seemed like an interesting idea, but I wasn't so crazy about it. Kind of forgot about it for a bit. Had some family that suggested it to me recently, so I went to see it. They kind of reminded me that it was a musical. It's been so long, I forgot the Lion King was a musical thing, so that made me a little more excited to see it. Might have had some good songs, and I went to see it, and it was pretty worth it. I saw it in XD. The screen's way bigger. The sound hits you harder and stuff, which is great. I loved the growling and everything, the rumbling sounds. It was great. It's a great theater movie, which also brings me to the fact that it's like live action or CG, whatever, CG animation stuff, whatever you want to call it, instead of 2D animated. I didn't really have an opinion on that so much when the live action Lion King came out. I kind of forgot about that. I don't know. I guess I think I still just like the cartoon more. This came out and I was like, I don't know. I still didn't have much of an opinion, but when I actually went to watch it, I just felt like it works. Mufasa feels like it's slightly more serious than the other ones. It just feels like it makes sense to be live action. I think people are a bit harsh when they say that you can't like tell the expressions on the character's face and stuff and you can't recognize them. I think that's not that big a deal. When I'm looking at a character, I can tell like they make pretty familiar expressions on their face. You can tell what they're thinking and stuff. It kind of works. The only time it's a little difficult is just like, I mean, there's a scene where like Mufasa and Tucker are like racing, and it's a shot from above, and I can't really tell who's who for a second. But then it does like close up stuff, and you can kind of tell. I just don't think it's that big a deal. I don't think that's much of a criticism. I think it being live action itself can is a decent criticism. I wonder how different this would have been if it was like a cartoon. However, it being live action, I don't know. There was still like kind of cartoony, kind of kids jokes here and there for the kids, and I'm kind of okay with that because it wasn't like abundant. It wasn't too bad. I just watched Moana 2 recently, and oh, man, that movie's got way too much of those for me to handle. Like I could not take that movie seriously at all. But this tones it down a lot because it's part of the tone. It's a little more serious. So I enjoyed that and I appreciated that. And speaking of like the camera angles, because I mentioned the camera from above, that the cameras, it was awesome. I don't know. It was really good throughout the movie. Something that a cartoon probably wouldn't be able to do. The camera movements were just super dynamic, and I don't know, maybe it just hit me harder because it was an XD screen. But like, man, there were so many scenes where like the camera would just like rotate around Mufasa and Tucker like three times. It would just, I don't know, it was very dynamic, very cool. There were some shots that were just like super close to their face. The shots were all just super good. I'd say like from a cinematography standpoint, it was very well done. So overall, I'd say like visually and design wise and sound design wise, like it was just amazing. It hit me really hard. It was well done. Now talking about like the story and stuff and the actual substance. My first gripe I'd like to say, this movie is so fast. It's insane. Like I feel like I'm speed running the story sometimes. On like bigger moments that don't have much talking, it's like it's kind of okay, but like the dialogue is like back and forth and back and forth. Like we're just going so fast. Like one character says something and you think there's gonna be like a little pause, and another one just says it responds immediately. Like it goes so fast sometimes, especially the ending scene. Not really much of a spoiler, but the daughter Kiana, I think, talks to. Okay, I guess a bit of a spoiler. Talks to somebody, and she's I don't know. It's sudden. If you know what I'm talking about, she just like moves on by telling the story of the movie very quickly, and it like throws me off guard. I'm like, whoa, take a second to take this in. This is I don't know. This feels bigger. It should be slower. I just think for a movie that has a lot of hard hitting sound and visuals and stuff, which was still very well done by the way, I think it lacked a little bit with its pacing. Like it needed some slower moments to hit us harder. Let that music sink in. Let the shots sink in. Like let things be a little slower and don't have a character talking without a single breath. Like it's actually kind of insane. It goes so fast sometimes, but despite that, the cinematography and stuff was good enough at least, and that still hit me pretty hard. As for the story itself, I think it was pretty creative. I remember there were like some cartoons back in the day that were like prequels and stuff that came out. Everyone forgot about those. It's just those ones that like end up in the $5 bin at Walmart. People just forget about those, whatever. So I don't know if this is like similar to those at all, but this alone was pretty creative. I yeah I okay. One thing, one big kind of gripe with the story is Mufasa's parents go so quickly. That's another thing about the pacing. It's just like you get this awesome song in the beginning. His parents are singing about Malele and stuff, and it was really cool. But you like don't even have a second to get to know them. Like I don't get it. Like they just go so quickly, and then Mufasa's alone and astray, and it's just weird. Like what I mean, we get to know Mufasa in the Lion King for a while before he dies. Like he's like we get the whole speech and stuff with the stars and to Simba. Like I would have loved something similar to that with Mufasa's parents to him, but like they just go so quickly. Like the flood scene is just like not much of a spoiler, but like the flood scene is just it goes from so happy to so crazy in like a second. It's great. Like they're just playing in this pool. It's raining. We're all happy, and then like sudden, like I don't know. It just felt very very quick. I guess that's kind of part of the feeling if you want to see it that way. But I just needed more time with the parents. That wasn't enough. And also like I don't know. Mufasa was just reminiscing about his mom throughout the movie, and I feel like he barely ever mentioned his dad. And all right, all right. This is just getting into spoiler territory. I just say, just stop right here if you want no spoilers, and just come back once you watch the movie. But here we go. Mufasa's dad does die, but like off screen because you know they've been gone for a while. He just maybe he died during the flood. They didn't clarify, but that's the weird thing. We didn't get enough time to know the parents, but we got to know the mom just a little bit more, and and then at the end, but like he's only reminiscing about his mom. He's like, it feels like he's only missing his mom, remembering all the things his mom said to him, and it's like really sad. But like I'm like, where's the dad? Like the dad seemed pretty cool. I want to know more about the dad. And then at the end, like we realize the dad was dead. He realizes that, and he's like, where's dad? And she says like she'll always be with you. He'll always be with you. He'll be in you. Like just like Mufasa was to Simba. And it's like that's interesting. It's a cool parallel, but like it does not hit as hard when I do not know the dad. Like I one thing that seemed cool about I swear I'll have to look this up, but I think he was voiced by Keith David, which is pretty cool. If not, I don't know. His voice sounded very similar to him. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't get to know the dad well enough, which would have made that scene a lot cooler. Um, all right, and as for Scar's story and stuff, I thought that was interesting. That was pretty well handled because I was like, how are they gonna like once the betrayal stuff came up, I was like, how are they gonna do this where like he betrays them, but he's still gonna be kind of with them and be chill and be because that's like how the Lion King starts. He's just kind of the weird uncle, it's just around and like doesn't seem like a threat, but he's still kind of bad, and that's the sad part. Mufasa doesn't really expect him to go that far, and yet he does. But it's where I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I thought they handled Scar's story pretty well to where he could just kind of stick around, and it wasn't like he kind of fought for Mufasa again at the end to almost like just redeem himself just enough to stick around. Because like if he hadn't done that, he probably would have been banished or something. I don't know, but that was good enough. That was good enough to work to work as a prequel. Um, for Scar's name, I mean, it threw me off that his name was Tucker from the beginning. I was like, I know that's Scar. That's got to be Scar, right? But like I was almost thinking like the movie would like trick me, making me think that's Scar, and he's gonna get that name later, but it's somebody else. I don't know. Of course, it didn't do that, but like he just kind of came up with the name on a whim at the end of the movie, and I don't know. I think they could have done something more interesting for that. I almost thought for a minute the king of the pride that was the white lions that was attacking them. I almost thought he would kind of give him that name since he was like treating him as like his son now. I thought he would like be like, hey, your name is Scar now because you're mine. I think that would have been a little more interesting if they did it that way. And also speaking of that pride, that was like, that was a pretty cool villain. I really liked that for this. Like, it was just it wasn't like, because like in The Lion King, the villain is the uncle. He's like related to them. He's a part of their pride. And this one is just the king of a different pride that we've never seen before. And I thought that was pretty interesting. They were like these white lions. It was pretty cool. I loved the Bye Bye song. The that king just seemed pretty cool, pretty intimidating. It was awesome. And one thing though, I don't understand. Well, I'd like to talk about uh Tucker's Pride when he was younger. That was cool. It was like almost this like smaller one compared to the one we're used to in the Lion King. Scar's Pride was just interesting. I liked the dynamic with that. It was just a smaller pride, just a very very small community. It was interesting, and the the king there was really funny with how like kind of lazy he was and stuff, but and yet like dominating, like thinking he's the king of everything when it was really like I mean it's not that big of a pride. But one thing I don't understand is when the I keep wanting to call them the white pride, but this is funny to say white pride. But the pride of the white lions, the bad lions, whatever. They after Mufasa and Tucker left, like they come over and take over that pride, but they like I don't know. It just kind of leaves it from there, and they never exactly come back to it. I don't know if it's like supposed to be obvious that they killed them, but like I don't get it. Like I thought like what are they just gonna like bring them into their pride? They're not gonna kill them unless they like won't be with them or something. Like
I'd just like to apologize for saying the word like a total of 6 times within the past 10 seconds. And I'm sorry, but there is more to come, so just bear with me.
but no, they just kind of move on, and I'm like, okay, I guess we have to assume they killed all of them. And then what? It's like that sucks. Like that's a pretty big deal, and they don't seem to like touch on it much. Like Tucker like remembers like one thing his mom said, and it was like we should have gotten more than that. We should have gotten more moments with them. Maybe an actually good moment with his father, and then like maybe have it hit harder when that pride comes to assumably kill all of them, which again it just doesn't really touch on that. Like what happened to them? That's so confusing. Like should they go back to check on them now that they have Malele? Like I don't get it. It was weird. Um, but yeah, the overall it was just cool with the hard hitting moments. It was a cool new ish kind of story. I'm okay with the live action stuff. I think it was good for this one at least. I don't remember much of the live action Lion King, but for this, I think it worked really well. It just worked a little better for the slightly more seriousness, but it wasn't like too serious, of course, because it's still a musical. It had some pretty awesome songs. I don't know if I'd say like any of them are bangers. I'm not gonna add them to my Spotify playlist anytime soon, but I was tapping my finger to the songs were pretty decent. I did like them. The songs were good enough, and yeah, just the most of the hard hitting moments were when we got like certain themes in the music that were from like the original cartoon, like when Rafiki saw the tree and stuff like that. Mostly the moments with Rafiki, man, his like theme music and stuff just kind of I don't know. I felt myself like almost tearing up in those parts, just remembering the old cartoon and stuff, which almost makes it a little more sad with how fast the movie was because I just those moments hit fairly hard, but it would have hit so much harder if the movie would have just slowed down a bit, man. Like it was so fast. Like that movie was such a speed run. It was crazy. But I mean, that was mostly during like dialogue scenes. After watching the movie, it felt like I mean, it was a good runtime. It wasn't like too long or too short. It was just the dialogue and stuff. It was just so fast, man. Like I feel like I didn't have a moment to breathe in some parts. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, also Zazu. Wait, no, hold on. I don't want to talk about specifically Zazu yet. That reminds me of Timon and Pumbaa. Oh man, every time it went back to them, this isn't really much of a criticism. It's just like a personal thing. But every time it went back to them, I was like, oh my gosh, let's just continue the story. I don't really care what's going on here. I don't really care about Kiana. And sure, it's whatever. I don't think I would take that out of the movie. It's and the funny Timon and Pumbaa stuff is good for kids. Just a little break in between here and there while Rafiki's telling the story. I think that made it a little interesting. It's just every time it went there, I was like, I'm interested in Mufasa's story. I just want to see it continue. Can you guys shut up? But yeah, and then of course that brings me to Zazu. I thought it was cool that they brought Zazu for this prequel, but like why didn't we see him in the well like in the future, like when Rafiki's telling the story? Like we didn't see him at all, like him being in the story Rafiki's telling, and we're seeing Rafiki here telling about him in the story and all these characters that we're seeing now, and yet we don't see Zazu. I don't know, it seemed like it would make sense for Zazu to just be a part of that group listening to the story with Timon and Pumbaa and stuff, so that's just a funny little gripe. But yeah, overall I think it was good. it was overall a good movie. I think it's definitely worth the watch. Watch it in theaters. Um, yeah, it was great, and you might like the songs and stuff a lot more than I did. You might disagree with me on some stuff. Let me know in the comments. I would like to hear your thoughts. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a fairly awesome movie, and I liked it. It was good. So yeah, thank you for listening, and please subscribe if you don't mind. Have a good day.
No, no.